Great, that sounds good. So we'll get underway. I'll just share my screen. I practiced that before. I'm hoping that's going to work. So hopefully you guys can all see my screen now with a beautiful picture of Sydney Harbour. So yes, tonight we're going to be talking about sailing to Australia, going west and sailing to Australia. So for those of you who don't know me or my company, I own Island Cruising and also the Down Under Rally, which is the Australian version of Island Cruising, if you like. And we've been running yacht rallies in the Pacific, Island Cruising for about 35 years and Down Under Rally for about 10 years. I bought Down Under Rally last year and Island Cruising 3 years ago. So I've been doing this for a wee while now and have always worked really closely with the Down Under Rally. So it just made sense for me to buy them into Island Cruising and to keep the whole Southwest Pacific in under one umbrella and a really seamless solution for cruisers in this part of the world. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vicky Moore. I'm the director of the rally, and as I say, I'm a really keen cruiser. Got an offshore yachtmaster qualification, and I've been around sailing all my life. I also worked for Sail GP. I was the on-water operations manager for the Littleton event last year, and I was also a director of Yachting New Zealand. I'm based in Christchurch. And I've got lots of great connections throughout Australia as well, including the former owner of the Down Under Rally, John Hembro, who still works really closely with me if I've got any specific Australian questions that I can't answer. So hopefully you guys have all been enjoying some really fantastic cruising throughout the Southwest Pacific. And I really want to encourage people to sort of slow down and not sort of race through the Pacific in one season, because there really is so much to see. And I know a couple of you were also on my webinar last night about sailing to New Zealand. So New Zealand's obviously a great sort of stopover place for escaping the South Pacific cyclone season, but also Australia is as well. And you can still get back up to the islands from Australia. It's just a little bit more difficult with the weather systems once you get that far west to work your way back against the southeast trade winds. But really take your time through the Pacific, and we've got our Pacific Rally, which you'll see on the next screen. We've got cruises, about 118 people on the Pacific Rally at the present, all scattered throughout the South Pacific. So our rallies are kind of a loose version of what you would class as a rally. They're quite different to rallies like the Oyster World Rally or the World Arc, where everyone sails together all at the same time. We're a lot more flexible with our rallies, so we allow people to really choose their own destinations and dates, and we provide support for them along the way wherever they are. So we've got about 6 boats at sea still at the moment sailing up to the islands, but we also have social events throughout the way, like some key milestone events that you can join into. I keep everyone updated each week with a newsletter to let them know the latest things that are going on in the islands, and various other events and cultural activities that they can keep in touch with, and also provide support and assistance if people are having any dramas. So you've always got me on the other end of the phone, and the whole rally network to connect in with if you're having any issues along the way, which comes in handy on a number of occasions. So technically for the Go West rally and also the Sail South rally to New Zealand, you're technically joining just that last leg of the rally. But as soon as you join up and sign up for one of these packages, you get integrated into the rally group straight away. So, so you can kind of already take advantage of all the fun that the people up in the Pacific are having already. I know we've got a few people on the rally already in our webinar this evening. So if you've got any questions, we can always direct those questions to those guys as well and see how they're getting on. So the Go West Rally specifically, as I say, is just that final leg where you're sailing into Australia. The package includes all the information you need to arrive in Australia, tips on how to save lots of money on your biosecurity clearance. So we'll cover that off a bit later on. We've got great discounts from all our rally partners, including some really good deals on marinas, chandleries, and lots more. And you can quickly recoup your rally entry fee by taking advantage of the great discounts from our sponsors. Again, you'll have connection with all the other cruises in the Pacific, and especially those heading to Australia. Heaps of information about cruising in Australia. We've got tons of resources about where to go and what to see once you get there. if you're heading into Bundaberg, we'll talk about that soon. We've got some welcome events planned for you there. Again, my support at any time during your stay in Australia if you require any assistance or have any questions. And you also get weather routing if you're sailing with the main rally group departures around mid-October. So the reason why people head to Australia or to New Zealand over the cyclone season, which is sort of November through until April, is because of the cyclones in the Southwest Pacific. So as you can see, this is a map showing the paths of all the cyclones over a period of years. I don't know actually how many years this picture displays from. But as you can see, the risk of being in a cyclone when you're south in New Zealand or Australia is a lot less than if you were up in the Southwest Pacific. So sailing into Australia, generally people would depart from Noumea, but of course at the moment we've got a few issues up there. But also you can quite easily sail into Australia from Port Vila or Luganville and Santo and Vanuatu. But people also sail directly there from Fiji as well if you don't fancy doing any stops. We do quite a detailed passage planning session for the people that are heading in this direction. There's a few seamounts and things to avoid and other tricky things that we'll educate you on in between the passage on the way there. So if you were leaving from Noumea, it's about 770 odd nautical miles from Noumea right directly through into Bundaberg. And if you're going from Vanuatu, from Port Vila, it's around 1,100 nautical miles-ish from Port Vila through to Bundaberg. Chesterfield Reef, which is a really sort of appealing place that people would like to stop off, kind of like Minerva Reef, I guess. It's like one of those want to do kind of bucket list things. It is a marine reserve and it's currently closed. So in previous years, the rally has been able to apply for permission and stop at Chesterfield. This was denied. Permission was denied last year, and previous to that, it was sort of COVID years. So it's been closed for quite some time. So you can potentially try and apply for a permit to go there, but I haven't tried for this year yet, so we can give it a crack if people are keen to stop in Chesterfield, but don't stop there if you are just planning to call in on the way. We did have a boat that tried to do that a couple of years ago, and they were flown over by a French military jet at a very low altitude and left them under no uncertain terms that they were not welcome there. So please do not stop at Chesterfield Reef along the way. So the weather conditions sailing to Australia, it's generally a relatively easy passage because you've got southeast trade winds behind you. However, there are storms that kind of develop off the Australian coast. So we like to keep an eye on the Cape in your weather routing software that you're using, potentially with Predict Wind, or the weather router will obviously be keeping an eye on that. And if you're heading any further south to some different ports further south, you've really got to keep an eye on what they Australians call an east coast low or a southerly buster, which can develop relatively quickly. And the further south you go, the more chances you have of encountering one of these things. So those are the things that we're going to be keeping a really close eye on when we're doing your weather routing. So there are a number of different ports of call that you can choose from across the Australian east coast. Bundaberg is the most popular one. We'll talk about that soon, but you've also got the choice of Cairns or Gladstone and Mackay further north in North Queensland. Or further south, you've got Bundaberg, Brisbane, Southport, Coffs Harbour, Newcastle or Sydney to head to. So you've got a little bit of a display there on the side that gives you some ideas of the different options. Sorry, clicked too early there. So one thing you've got to take into account is with some of these areas that you can enter into is that there are some bar crossings to go in and out of Australian ports. So we try to obviously avoid that for our first arrival into Australia. So that's why generally most people would clear into Bundaberg first. So you can choose whichever port you want to go into, but most people will go to Bundaberg just because it's the quickest trip. There's no waves or anything like that to encounter, no bar crossings. It's a friendly, really friendly team of local cruisers, and the customs and biosecurity team there specialize in small craft clearances. So they're not just dealing with ships and then the odd yacht that comes and goes, so which you can get from those more shipping ports a bit further south. You can be dealing with people that aren't familiar with yachts and yacht clearances, and we'll cover that off later. They've got great facilities there. They've got a hard stand that can cater for people wanting to stay for long term. And they've also got welcome events. And it's just a great gateway to arrive into the rest of Australia, a bit like Opua, if you like, in New Zealand. As you can see here, it's a nice wide entrance. They've got markers that go out a hugely long way out here into the ocean. So it's just a nice, easy entry into the port of Bundaberg, and clearance is all done here on their queue dock. And that's their hard stand storage area over here. So the team there are fantastic, and really keen to work with you guys and welcome you into Australia. So that's Brett and Donna, and they are amazing people and keen yachties themselves, and really welcoming people to arrive as your first port of call in Australia. As I mentioned, they've got a great hard stand and marine facilities up there. They can cater for all kinds of different sorts of yachts mostly, but wider catamarans they can't cater for at this stage, but more narrower catamarans they can in the hard stand. And the dry storage area that they've got is really well maintained. You can see that they strap down all the boats really carefully here. You can pay them to go and monitor your boat if you want to leave it for an extended period of time on the dry area. There aren't many other places in Australia that you can leave your boat out of the water for a long period of time. And Bundaberg have got a document that they can provide for your insurance company if you've got any concerns. They are just on the edge of that spot where most insurance companies require you to be further south of by 1 November. So talk to the Bundaberg team. They're super helpful and can help you get around any issues that you might have with your insurance company if you are planning on doing dry storage. They've got a great chandlery there as well, and they also give you give rally participants discounts on both the marina fees, the haul out, and in the chandlery if you are on the rally. So if you do join the rally and go into Bundaberg, they provide a welcome event, 15% discount on marina berths for the first couple of weeks. You get sort of some stay pay deals if you're on the hard stand, and other deals for longer stays and things like that. So we'll provide you with all those special offers when you join up. And there's heaps to see and do in Bundaberg. I went up there for the first time actually myself just a couple of months ago and had a really good look around. And of course, yachties all love rum. And I went to the Bundaberg Rum Distillery. They have a fantastic rum tour where you can see how they make it. And of course, do some tastings and things at the end, which is really fun. And the other thing to put in your calendar if you're heading that way is the Milby Festival, which is being held in Bundaberg from the 25th of October to the 3rd of November. And this is run by Bundaberg Tourism, and they have all kinds of really cool events, such as Aboriginal cultural sessions, bands playing. They've also got like a turtle hatchery sanctuary there, so you can watch all the turtles come in and lay their eggs, and that's all part of the festival. They've got great dining events and arts and crafts and bits and pieces like that. So I think that'll be a really fun thing to put in your calendar if you're planning on arriving into Bundaberg. So where to from Bundaberg? Once you've arrived there, you can either leave your boat on the hard stand for long-term storage out of the water if you want to go home and just leave it somewhere safe. From there, you can fly, drive, or catch train down to Brisbane Airport to fly home. But it's also a great gateway to do some cruising further south, and that's what most of the people would like to do once they get to Australia, is head south and do some cruising, and then potentially come back up further north and do some work on their boats before they head home or head on to the next place in the following year. So other ports of entry, just the other options that you've got. You've got Mackay, which is further north, and that requires a little bit more careful navigation, arriving in there through the Great Barrier Reef Islands and things offshore. So that's another option. Brisbane, you can arrive into Brisbane itself directly. The benefits of that is that it's close to the airport. It's a big bustling city in Australia. It's a great place to go and hang out. We've got Southport Marina and Rivergate Marina there, which offer discounts to our rally participants. It's a busy shipping port, and there is quite a long shipping channel. It's quite tidal, and lots of things to avoid. So it's quite a long way into the port, and it requires some quite careful navigation, and also avoiding those ships coming and going. You can also arrive into Southport, which is where our rally departs from each season to go back up to the Pacific, which is on the Gold Coast. Stunning beaches, beautiful inland waterways, nice sheltered spots that you can anchor up. The Boat Works is there, which is another really cool place. I'll show you some pictures of that soon, but that does require a bar crossing to get in there. So if the weather conditions aren't great on your arrival, it's kind of a bit limiting to be able to sort of get in there if it's really rough. Further south is Coffs Harbour, which is a lovely town midway between Brisbane and Sydney. They've only got a small marina there, but it's an option if you want to clear in. It's a little bit exposed in terms of an anchorage, but it's definitely an option. Newcastle, you can clear in there as well. That's a commercial port. So the biosecurity people are a bit more familiar with ships as opposed to yachts. And same with Sydney. Not too many people kind of clear in and out of there, but it's a stunning harbour for sailing, but it's busy with ferries and other boaties, so you've really got to have your wits about you. If you're tired after a long passage, it can be a little bit overwhelming arriving there. So this just gives you a bit of an idea of Brisbane coming in through the shipping channel there. It does about 50 nautical miles, so it's quite a long day or night of navigating to get right through into the port area. Once you get there, though, we've got Rivergate Marina and Southport Marina, our two favourite marinas in this particular area, and they give discounts up to 10% on marina berthing fees at Rivergate. And Southport Marina down further south is the other arrival port that you can go into, again with your bar crossing. So that's what the bar looks like at Southport if you're kind of coming and going. So it's a relatively nice day, but you can see the turbulence of the water outside there. There's a lot of current and flow kind of coming in out of this area. So you need to sort of time your arrival in with the tides as well. So down to the Boat Works, we've got the marina down there, and that's a fantastic place to get work done on your boat. It's almost like Disneyland for yachts at the Boat Works. It's an incredible facility that they've got there. And again, they give some discounts, and it's where we depart from to head back up to the islands again the following year. So if you're not traveling on a New Zealand or a Australian passport, you do need a visa. And depending on which visa you want to apply for, you do need to allow plenty of time to do that. So our rally pack includes some tips on which visas are available and some ideas on how to go about it. International vessels arriving into Australia get a control permit, which is a 12 months stay, or it's tagged to the same time that your visa is applicable for, if you like. So you can get up to 2 years stay, just depending on how long you're planning on staying there. To apply for a control permit, you must be a temporary citizen or temporary visitor. Australian citizens have to re-import their boats, and that's another process that they've got to go through. So we'll let you know about all those rules and regulations. But Australian boats, as I mentioned, do need to be re-imported, and that's quite a bit of a process for those boats. But if you're an international vessel, you'll be on a control permit and don't need to go through that process. So there's very strict biosecurity regulations, and there are quite high fees related to the clearance. They charge in 15-minute blocks. So it can be costly if you're not well prepared for this process. And so a lot of the content that we provide on the rally with the rally packs is how to prepare your boat and obviously keep these costs down as low as possible. But if you're cruising in there independently, just make sure that you do your homework. We also include for our rally participants a template that they can use to create a biofouling management plan and some sort of document that they can provide to the biosecurity clearance officers to document the way that they've prepared their vessels before they arrive. The other thing to note about arriving in Australia and staying in marinas is that you need to have, most marinas require you to have third-party liability insurance of around 10 million Australian dollars or over. Some of them are even higher if you're in a marina berth that's got lots of super yachts and stuff around. So a lot of insurance companies, international insurance companies, don't actually meet that threshold. And so we've got a partner company that we can work with in Australia who help provide a top up to your existing insurance policy. So it's literally just to bring your liability cover up to the level that's required by many Australian marinas. So we'll give you some more information about that. Again, if you're traveling independently, just do your own research on that. So once you get to Bundaberg or wherever you're going and you want to do some exploring, we'll just cover off now some of the amazing places that you can kind of go and see. And it's a big coastline, but once you're there, you can almost day hop in between all the different ports and things along the way. So a lot of people choose to kind of head south and down to Tasmania and then work their way back up the coast again to get ready for the following season. Included in your rally pack is a copy of the Queensland Coast Cruising Guide, which is a really, really wonderful resource that you will find incredibly useful for your travels, and that's worth about 140 Australian dollars, and that's included in your rally pack and will be given to you on arrival at Bundaberg or your chosen arrival port. Sailing south from Bundaberg, the best place to head to first is an island called Gari, formerly known as Fraser Island, and it's the biggest sand island in the world. And I visited here as well a couple of months ago. It's absolutely an incredible place to go. And even though that looks like rocks there, it's actually not rocks, it's just compressed sand. And it's huge and incredible. Like there's actually no stones on the island, so you can't even like pick up a stone to throw into the ocean or anything. Like it's just all sand. And they've got a couple of resorts on there and lots of people go, lots of Australians go, and there's really cool four-wheel drives and go camping over there and cruising around their four-wheel drives, and you can do tours and things like that, or cruise around and visit. So this is a lake, and actually a lake with this sand. It's fresh water in the middle of the island. So even though it's a sand island and you're right next to the ocean, this is a crystal clear lake with squeaky white sand. It's really odd. But from there you cruise down to Scarborough Marina, and Richard, my friend Richard from Scarborough Marina, will be ready to welcome you. They've also got a really good hard stand area and heaps of marine facilities here. A lovely marina that you can hang out in and spend some time. If you're leaving your boat in the water and want to head home, they'll take good care of it for you there as well. And Richard does a lot to help promote yachting tourism in Australia, so he's a fantastic person to get to know, and he also will give you a discount when you stay at that marina. Rivergate Marina, this is where John Hembrow, the former owner of Island Cruising, is going to be working as a dockhand. He's really looking forward to welcoming you there as well, and we're hoping to maybe do something special with him as you cruise down the coast. But this Rivergate Marina is almost right in the heart of Brisbane itself, and again they've got incredible marine facilities in here, lots of repairs and technicians and service people all on site ready to help do any work that you need done on your boat. It's quite a small marina in terms of marina berths, but they always do their best to try and squeeze in any rally participants that are coming or point you in the right direction if they can't fit you in. So this is John Hembrow, the guy that I bought the business off, and as I say, he's going to be always on hand to help out. Hopefully we'll do a webinar with him as well, a little bit closer to your arrival if you've got any more sort of specific questions about your cruising in Australia. And then from there, we head down through Moreton Bay. So there's some beautiful places in Moreton Bay to cruise, lots of sort of inland waterways that you can go and explore, including these wrecks here in a place called Tangalooma. It's a really popular place for people who live in Brisbane to go cruising, and then down to the beautiful Gold Coast where there's lots of high-rise buildings, nightlife, shopping, great provisioning, of course, and also wonderful boat repair facilities. It really is incredible and a beautiful place to go and see. So this is their inland waterway kind of area. As you can see, there's some nice anchorages and lots of people coming and going, and beautiful golden sandy beaches. They literally squeak when you walk and stand on them. If you've decided you've had enough sailing, which I'm sure you probably haven't, but if you have, we've also got some really great partners in Australia, including the Yacht Sales Co. and Multi-Hull Solutions, who are based on the Gold Coast, and they're very welcoming people and happy to take care of you if you do decide you want to sell your boat. And then further south, the Iluka Clarence River, they also do great discounts for our rally participants, and we've got a guidebook that can explain all of the great places that you can see on this big river. So there's quite a lot of cruising up on the Clarence River. And as you can see, it's also a beautiful place. So they just posted this picture on Facebook the other day, and I stole it for my presentation. So it's gorgeous in there. Down to Port Stephens. This is a really cool place to go as well. Again, another sort of couple of days, day hopping down the coast. Nelson Bay is a gorgeous little town that you can go and hang out in. They have like quite nice yacht racing and stuff. A nice marina there you can go to as well. Again, more beautiful beaches. And then further south down into Pittwater and the Hawkesbury River. And this area really reminds me of the Marlborough Sounds area in Christchurch. Or sorry, in New Zealand in the South Island. It's there's lots of it's a national park, and so there's lots of bush covered hills that sort of just go into deep bays, and there's beautiful places that you can go and explore. I've done a charter over there with some friends, but as you can see, like all in and out of all these little waterways and inland places that you can go and explore. So really popular place for Australians or Sydney siders to go cruising and take their boats up here as well. You can see wallabies on the shoreline and just cruising around, as you can see, just in real life. They're not penned up or anything. And amazing anchorages. This is a lovely refuge bay with a waterfall, and again, beautiful beaches. You can climb up to the top of the waterfall and look down on all the boats in the bay below. And the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club is in there. So we did a presentation there last year about cruising to the islands, like a few of their members on the rally. And there's it's got a great big marina there, beautiful restaurant that you're welcome to go into. And there's also a really cool bar there called the Newport Arms, which is a fabulous restaurant and a cool bar area to go and hang out in. I love it there. It's really nice. Another partners of ours, DBY Boat Sales, they're based in Pittwater, and they've got some great facilities in their office in Pittwater, and they welcome our rally participants to come up and go and say good day as you're cruising through their particular part of the world. If you need any help with anchorages and things, they've also got like a handout with tips on their favourite spots around the area. And then, of course, down into Sydney Harbour. And who doesn't want to go sailing in Sydney Harbour? It's an iconic cruising destination and place to go. Again, there are so many different anchorages. It's really is a boating paradise down in Sydney. And you could be there in time to watch the start of the Sydney Hobart race, which is, of course, on Boxing Day each year, where 100 or so yachts start and head off on this challenging yacht race down to Tasmania. And I've been to watch the start. It's an absolutely incredible experience and amazing to be there. And then you can spend a couple more days and wait for the incredible fireworks display on New Year's Eve, where everyone goes out in their boats. As you can see how many boats there are out here on the water, and the fireworks display is just out of this world. So I highly recommend that you make your way down to Sydney for that. And then further south, you've got a couple more places that you can stop over on your way heading south. There's a couple of nice marinas and things, which we're talking to these guys to try and get them to do a special deal for the rally participants in Shell Harbour, which is just south of Sydney Harbour. And then you've got down into Jervis Bay, which is a gorgeous place as well. And further south into Eden. I was in Eden last year, and my first time there, and it's a gorgeous place. They're trying to develop a marina in here, but it is just anchoring at the moment out in this particular area as well. And then, of course, down to stunning Tasmania. And this is sort of, I guess, getting close to the Fiordland part of our New Zealand equivalent is Tasmania. And you can go to get some really wild and remote places, or, basically go into where the Sydney Hobart boats go through and enter into the Hobart area up the river. So it is gorgeous. It's wild and amazing. And there is a rally that runs every sort of 2 or 3 years, I think they do it, run by the Tasmanian Yacht Club, and you can go circumnavigate the whole of Tasmania if you wanted to join their rally, or otherwise just lots of different cruising and places that you can explore along the way. If you're there in February next year, they've got the Australian Wooden Boat Festival, and it is an incredible festival. If you've got a wooden boat and want to put it on display, they're calling for boats to enter and go and to be selected. But if not, and you just want to go and watch the boats or see the boats, it's a really fantastic festival. I went a few years ago, and the boats and stuff there are absolutely incredible. I've never seen so much varnish in all my life. It's incredible. So from there, you can work your way north again. So you can either head back up to the Pacific with us on the Pacific Rally, or alternatively start cruising all the way up the Queensland coast into tropical North Queensland and beyond. There's some incredible places up there to go and see too. So the Whitsundays are a really popular cruising spot. In August is Hamilton Island Race Week. If you're interested in yacht racing, it's a really popular event for Australian cruisers. And the cruising around this particular area in the Whitsundays again is amazing. There's lots of charter boats up there as well, so you just kind of got to watch out for the charterers. And but they do have lots of free public moorings and things that you can pick up and stuff in that area as well. And of course, Whitehaven Beach, which if we've ever seen like a postcard of Australia, is one of those iconic beaches that you really must go and visit. Up into the Coral Sea, there's some incredible remote atolls and things that you can go and explore as well. And if you're heading in that direction, we've also got a special guidebook that we can give you, or you can purchase actually directly from the owner or the writer of that particular book. It's really wild and remote places that you can go to, or you can just sort of head further north. We've got deals again with other marinas heading further north that you can connect into. And that's the book, the Coral Sea Islands and Marine Park, if you're wanting to go offshore in those remote places. So from there, as I say, you can either you could cruise back up the coast and head on up to Indonesia. You could come with us from the Gold Coast back up to New Caledonia. Hopefully things are okay in New Caledonia, or if not, skip that and go back up to Vanuatu with us, and then onto the Solomon Islands and Indonesia. Or if you've decided you haven't seen enough, you can cross from Tasmania or Sydney across to New Zealand and cruise with us around New Zealand, and join us again heading up to Tonga in May each year, which is when our main rally departs. So you've got plenty of options still if you are in Australia to sort of loop back to the Pacific if you wish, or just simply work your way up and carry on your circumnavigation around the world. If you're interested in joining the Go West Rally, the entry fee is $600 New Zealand dollars per vessel. And we include all the paperwork and procedures for your entry formalities. Lots of information about those biosecurity clearance fees, which are the ones you've really got to watch. We also give you a free annual membership of Island Cruising and Down Under Rally in the pack. And it also includes lots of great discounts from our marinas, chandleries, and other suppliers in Australia. We'll give you lots of advice on where to cruise and haul out if you want, or get maintenance on your boat, just depending on what your requirements are. We'll have some webinars sort of talking about the Queensland coast and give you a copy of the Queensland Coast Cruising Guide. And we've got heaps of other resources on our website, which really gives you details of all the different places and our favourite anchorages along the way. We include weather routing if you depart with our main group departure around mid-October. So we'll likely have groups departing from Vanuatu, but potentially also New Caledonia if there are people in New Caledonia at that time, then we'll do a group departure from there as well, but that will be going mid-October. But if you want to travel at any other time, you're very welcome to. And if you'd like some weather assistance, we can recommend a weather router for you to help with that particular passage. But as I say, it's generally a pretty easy downhill run in the Southeast Trades, particularly if you're just going directly to Bundaberg. It's if you're going further south is when you need to watch out for those other lows. We'll connect you immediately with the rally participants while you're in the Pacific, and those obviously that are heading in your direction. We'll give you assistance with topping up your liability insurance if required, and of course my support and guidance or assistance if you need any help during your stay in Australia. So I recommend that you register early. There's quite a bit to do in terms of your visa and just getting yourself booked into yards and bits and pieces like that. And obviously being able to say you're on the rally, you can tap into those discounts and get yourselves locked in sooner rather than later if you need work done. If you've got any questions, you can drop me an email or check out our website. And I'll also send you a link to the recording of this and a link to the registration form as well. And now that's the end of my seminar. I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll have a look and see if we've got any questions in the chat box. Nothing so far, but I'm ready. You can take your self off mute and ask a question if you like, or Andrew, I can see you're over there. How are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in again this evening. So Andrew's a sail maker here in New Zealand, and I believe you can also ship sails to Australia if you do end up in Australia. Is that right, Andrew?
Yeah, that's correct. We can drop ship anywhere. We remote manufacture, so if anyone needs any help, we're the people. Give us a call.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us online tonight.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Great. Well, no other. Oh, here we go. Are any health checks required for entry to Australia? Good question, Sue. And yes, depending. Yes. It depends on which visa you apply for, also how long you're planning on staying and where you've been previously. So it's kind of a yes or no answer. There are ways around it though. So that's some of the tips that we can provide with the rally information, just depending on your circumstances. So yeah, there's a few different options. I'm not a registered immigration advisor, so I can't give you detailed advice, but I can point you in the right direction to look for information about that. Thank you, Boris. So lovely that you could join us tonight. Boris is a wonderful solo sailor who actually did the South Island Rally with us a couple of years ago. So thank you, Boris. Lovely to hear from you and to see you online here. And Elaine says, just to say, we're really enjoying and appreciating the rally experience here in Tonga. Oh, thank you, Elaine. That's kind, really kind. And I'm really enjoying helping out everyone along the way. It's been so much fun and a really social bunch, particularly the Tongan group. They've been having a lot of fun. I'm loving seeing their photos. Catamaran. So Mark, what sport do we get to go into New Zealand? Scarborough Marina. Yes, Mark, we can, it's all sorted for you. You're already on the rally, so all of this is included. So I'll contact you directly and let you know how you can go into Scarborough. That's not a problem, and mid-August is fine. And I know Richard will take great care of you in Scarborough Marina, so that's fine as well. Any other questions, anybody? No? Okay. So I will sign off on the webinar now, but please feel free to reach out to me if you do have any questions. It's a lot of fun joining the rally and being connected with everyone else heading in your direction. There's also a lot of Australian people on the rally and New Zealand people on the rally, so you get to meet a lot of the locals and hopefully make those connections when you arrive in Australia. You'll have lots of friends when you get there and hopefully share some fun cruising experiences with those people as well. So thank you, Susan. Glad you enjoyed it. And I'll sign off. Good night, everybody. Yep, I'll email you the recording. Cheers.
You look great, Vicky.
Thank you, Boris. Lovely to see you. Bye.
Bye, Vicky.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.